Rosado, evangelist with Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries. And we want to thank you so much for tuning in on this Wednesday afternoon. And today is the first day of fall. So summer is officially over. And now we have entered into the fall season. That means all the pumpkins are coming out, the pumpkin spice, the pumpkin coffee, the pumpkin donuts, and anything that's pumpkin pie, you name it. And so the fall is here and the summer is over. And you'll see that if you live here in New England, how the weather can change on a dime. But it's still kind of mild out there. The leaves are still on the tree. But we want to thank you all for joining us on today's broadcast as we look at current world events in light of biblical prophecy. So if you're here for the first time, my name is Dr. August Rosado, founder and evangelist of Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries, in which we look at the geopolitical activities of the world. And we know that the political is setting the stage for the prophetic to be fulfilled. And I've noticed that my friend Michael Popes is watching. I believe it's via YouTube. And so you can watch on the three social networks, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or what they would call Twitter Periscope. I don't know, but Twitter. So you can watch me on all three social networks. When you have an opportunity, I want to invite you to visit my website at www.todayinbibleprophecy.org. While you're there, go to my contact form where you can request to receive our free newsletters, or if you have a Bible prophecy question. So give me your name, type in your email address, and you could request to receive our free newsletters, or you can ask a prophecy question. We will try to answer your questions. And again, you could send me a Facebook friend request or subscribe to my YouTube channel. I believe we have about, right now, 588 subscribers on YouTube. We're hoping to reach 1,000. So if you have a YouTube account, click subscribe to my YouTube page, August Rosado. And whenever a new video is uploaded, you're going to be notified. Now, this Sunday, September 29th, I'm going to be preaching at First Baptist Church in Groton, Massachusetts. Tom Falk is the pastor. This will be the first time that I will be preaching at this church. So if you live in Groton, Massachusetts, or any of those surrounding areas, come on out and join us for a day of Bible prophecy as we take a look at the book in light of current events. Remember, the political is setting the stage for the prophetic to be fulfilled. Now, tomorrow, Thursday night, at, I believe, 9:30 p.m. tomorrow night, I was asked to do a Bible prophecy study with the Creation Group located in California. That will be broadcast live on Zoom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the Zoom link and the passcode so that you can also tune in as I teach on the trio of triplets of Bible prophecy. The trio of triplets on Bible prophecy. So I'm humbled that the creation group, it's like a creation research group, if you will, invited me to come and do a study on Bible prophecy. So the topic for tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is the trio of triplets. We'll look at the three main events of Bible prophecy, the three main books of Bible prophecy, the three strands of the human family in Bible prophecy. So I will put everything down maybe later on today, if not tomorrow, so that you can tune in for this Bible study broadcast. But this Sunday, I will be at First Baptist Church, Groton, Massachusetts. Very historical area. I've been to this church before, not to preach, but for a preacher's fellowship. And Pastor Falk was kind enough to invite me to come and preach on September the 29th. But don't forget, Monday through Friday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am on WOPW Radio, 93.3 FM out of Central Kentucky. And we have a 15-minute broadcast every night. So if you would like to tune in, just go to their website, WOPW.org. Again, that's WOPW.org. Tune in tonight at 8:15 p.m. for my 15-minute broadcast. That's a ministry of Central Baptist Church in Central Kentucky. They were gracious enough to invite me to do 15-minute broadcasts for their radio station. Now, come next year, April 23rd, 2022, we're hoping to get our Bible prophecy tour to Israel off the ground. With all the COVID cases and all that, it's been crazy. It's going on 2 years now since I've been to Israel. I'm hoping and praying that we can get this trip off the ground. And that will be April 23rd, 2022. Israel and Jordan, 11 days. 2 countries for the price of one. And I will teach you Bible prophecy on all locations. We still got a good core group of about maybe 23, 24 people. We had about 31. Some people have to drop out, I understand. So we do have room for you if you would like to join us, Lord willing, next year for our Bible prophecy tour of the Holy Land. If you want more information about that, then get a hold of me. I'll tell you what you need to do. And as I said, we're broadcasting on right now live on 3 social media platforms: Facebook, as well as Twitter and YouTube. So whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you can watch me live Wednesday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, if you have a YouTube account, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter. My handle is @Bible_prophecy. Make sure you put the @ symbol there. @Bible_. Make sure you put the underscore symbol there. Prophecy. @Bible_prophecy, so that you can look at all the late-breaking news stories that I put on Twitter, and you can send me a Facebook friend request. So what we're going to do right now is get into our study the land speaks. The land speaks. And boy, does the land speak. Michael, yes, we did come to an understanding, and we did come to an agreement with that land company. And so thank you so much for bringing that up. I won't be using them anymore after this tour. I'm going to be done with them after this. They understand that. So we came to an amicable agreement to get this tour out of the way. And that's it. They go their way, I go my way. And we're going to go with somebody different. But Michael, thank you for bringing that up. All right, what I want you to do is look at Ezekiel chapter 36 with me, please. And verse number 24. Tremendous verse here. God said, "For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land." Wow. The land speaks. When you look at the book of Ezekiel, that's an apocalyptic book that uses apocalyptic literature. And the Bible alone will interpret that apocalyptic literature. We look at Ezekiel chapter 34, Ezekiel chapter 36, Ezekiel chapter 37. In those three chapters, God will keep his promises in bringing the Jewish people back into Eretz Israel. That's Hebrew for the land of Israel. In Ezekiel chapter 34, Ezekiel chapter 36, and Ezekiel chapter 37 brings that out. Now, despite the dispersion, that just simply means to be scattered to the four corners of the earth. Despite the dispersion of the Jewish people, this dispersion is known as the diaspora. And again, a diaspora simply means the Jewish people were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. The Jews wandered from nation to nation, but God promised to bring them back to the land of Israel. You're looking at the Arch of Titus in Rome. Dr. Todd Baker and I in 2015 were at the Arch of Titus. We did a study there that you can watch on my YouTube channel. And what you are looking at is Jewish slaves and Roman soldiers carrying the temple booty back to Rome. Clearly, you can see the 7-branch menorah that's talked about in Exodus 25. The silver trumpets. Look at the silver trumpets. That's talked about in Numbers chapter 10. So the Jewish people were scattered to the four corners of the earth. But God promised that he would bring them back into the land of Israel. And folks, that was fulfilled. Now, when it comes to, the rapture, listen, I don't set dates, amen? But there is a date as to when Israel was reborn as a nation. And I know that as a student of Bible prophecy, you're very familiar with that date. So when you think about it, for 2,000 years, I should say for nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people have wandered outside the land of Israel since the Roman destruction of Jerusalem. When did that happen? 70 AD. General Titus brought the 10th Roman legion into Israel and destroyed Herod's temple, scattered the Jews to the four corners of the earth. And that happened, folks, in the year 70 AD. Man, that was a terrible, terrible destruction. But despite this destruction, God promised that the Jewish people would come back into the land of Israel. And when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, as I said, they took that booty back to Rome. How do you think they funded the building of the Roman Colosseum, the Super Bowl of death, if you will? Todd Baker and I were at the Roman Colosseum. We also did a study over there that you can look at our YouTube channel as well. And so all the temple treasures from Jerusalem were brought back to Rome. Now, there were 3 diasporas in Jewish history. Okay? 3 diasporas in Jewish history. The first diaspora, again, if you go to Tel Aviv, okay, Tel Aviv, Israel, there's a museum there called the Diaspora Museum. And right there at the Diaspora Museum, you walk in and it shows you the 2,000 years of Jewish dispersion worldwide. My wife and I, when we went there, no tour groups, no nothing, just my wife and I went to Israel, and we went to the Diaspora Museum. And I'll tell you, boy, I mean, the way they got that place set up was absolutely, it's unprecedented. It's unbelievable. But the first diaspora happened in Genesis chapter number 46. That is where Jacob and his family, 70 in all, left Canaan to the land of Egypt, where Joseph was, I guess, prime minister at that time. So there were 3 diasporas in Jewish history, and there were 3 aliyahs in Jewish history. And that first diaspora is right there in Genesis chapter number 46. And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls, all the souls of the house of Yaakov, Jacob, Beit Yaakov, house of Jacob, which came into Egypt were 70 or 70 in all. So Genesis chapter 46 is the first diaspora. I like to call it an unofficial diaspora because they weren't driven out by a foreign army, as in the other 2 diasporas. Okay? They were driven out by famine. And they knew there was a lot of food in Egypt. And Joseph had control of all that food. He had control as to pretty much who lived and who died, who ate and who starved. And they make preparations to leave Canaan to go to Egypt, where Jacob would be reunited with his son Joseph. That was the first diaspora in Jewish history. Again, 70 in all. And they leave to go to Mitzrayim, as they say in Hebrew, the land of Egypt. So Now, let's look at the second diaspora. The second diaspora took place in 586 BC. Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian army destroy Solomon's temple. They destroy Jerusalem. And they lead the Jewish people to Babylon for the 70-year captivity. When you go to Jerusalem today, you can still see the destruction from the Babylonian army in 586 BC. You can still even see the soot left over from that destruction in 586 BC. So the Babylonians destroy Jerusalem, Solomon's temple, take the Jews back to Babylon for a period of 70 years. Why? Because the Jews violated the Shemitah, in which the land was to have rest every 7 years. Excuse me. They violated the sabbatical years. Every 7th year, you till or sow the land for 6 years, but on the 7th year, let the land recover. Let the land have rest. They just had the Shemitah in Israel, in which Israeli farmers would not till or sow the land for 1 whole year. That was the commandment by God in Leviticus 25, 1 through 4. But Israel violated that. And it built up to 70 years. And God said, now you're going to keep my Shemitahs the hard way. And the Babylonians came in and they destroyed Jerusalem. Solomon's temple, took the Jews back to Babylon for a period of 70 years. 70 is God's perfect number. Now, the third diaspora, that took place in the year 70 AD. General Titus and the Roman army come into Jerusalem. They come over Mount Scopus, which is adjacent to the Mount of Olives. And they come down. Titus informs his troops. You see that temple right there? There is so much gold and there is so much treasures in that temple. Take it. Let's bring it back to Babylon. They go down to the Temple Mount. They destroy the temple. Today, archaeologists will tell you they cannot find of the temple. Why? Because of what Jesus said in Matthew 24. Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And you cannot find one stone to the temple today. And they took all that booty back to Rome. Listen, folks, that's the reason why Titus's brother, Domitian, erected the Arch of Titus in honor of his brother's activity there in Jerusalem. Taking the temple treasures back to Rome. That happened in 70 AD. Now, the first Aliyah happened when Israel leaves Egypt to come back to the Holy Land, bringing Joseph's body back with them. The second Aliyah happened in 539 BC, when the Persians under King Cyrus destroyed the Babylonian Empire. Cyrus allows the Jews to go back to Jerusalem to rebuild the second temple. That was the second Aliyah. The third Aliyah has been happening since 1897 with the first Zionist Congress under the father of modern-day Zionism, Theodore Herzl, in which he envisioned a Jewish state for the people of Israel, Am Israel, the people of Israel. I was at Theodore Herzl's grave at Mount Herzl Cemetery in Jerusalem. And I took a rock and I put it on the top of his grave. You know, here in America, we put flowers on graves. Not over there in Israel. They put rocks on graves. Because God used Theodore Herzl to get the ball rolling for Ezekiel's prophecy to come into fruition. So, since 1897, the Jewish people have been making aliyah back to the land of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth for 1,897 years. Now, that's a specific number I'm giving you. For 1,897 years, the Jewish people have wandered from nation to nation, being persecuted and killed simply because they were Jews. But God promised that one day the Jews will be back in the land. And folks, that was fulfilled on May the 14th of 1948. God has promises to keep. And that's the reason why we see in Ezekiel chapter 34, God says 18 times, I will, I will, I will, I will. Israel became a nation, May 14th, 1948. Think about this with me. The Romans destroyed Jerusalem and scattered the Jews to the four corners of the earth in 70 AD. Israel became a nation in 1948. 1948 minus 70 AD is 1,878 years that the Jews were outside the land of Israel. Scattered, dispersed, diaspora. But God told Ezekiel, chapter 34, 18 times, God says, I will, I will, I will, I will. If God said it once, well, that's good enough for this Baptist preacher. But listen, when he says it 18 times, we better listen up. 18 times, God said, I will, I will, I will, I will. I will keep my promises to Israel. I will keep my promises to the Jewish people. And folks, that's exactly what God did. The Israel Hayom website reported the land is speaking. Sumerian dig turns up Hasmonean era artifacts, ancient artifacts that attest to the Jews being the indigenous people of the land. Now, finds in Samaria, in the center part of the state of Israel, would be an Hasmonean era coin. And this is what the coin looks like. They just found it. A Hasmonean era type coin. A silver coin that was minted in Tyre. Tyre, which is today southern Lebanon on Israel's border. A stone structure during the Second Temple period. And a cistern that had never been opened. Other finds, a Second Temple era stone structure, that sealed cistern, the silver coin, a bronze Roman coin minted in Shechem, Nablus, which would be today Samaria, which was minted at around the middle of the 3rd century AD. The coin that you're looking at with an image, on the reverse side of that image would be Mount Gerizim, which would be the Mount of Blessings across from Mount Ebal, the Mount of Curses in Deuteronomy 27. I took my tour group in 2019, Mount Gerizim, the mountain of blessings. Jesus confronts a woman at the well, at the foot of Mount Gerizim, where Jacob's well is, in John chapter number 4. That's the reason why you need to take a trip to the land of Israel, so I can show you all these things, take you to these locations. Let me quote to you the head of the Samaria Regional Council. When they made these discoveries in Samaria, this is what he said, and I quote, "The land is speaking." The archaeological artifacts being discovered in Samaria bolster the current Jewish settlement. If anyone had any doubt about who used to walk these hills, the land is proving it. End quote. In other words, all these archaeological finds in the land of Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, is proof in the pudding that the Jewish people are the indigenous people of the land. And folks, this is the reason why in Ezekiel chapter 34, God says 18 times, "I will," keeping my promises to Israel and promises in the kingdom to come. And by the way, in Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 23 and 24, David, King David, Melech David, will be resurrected to rule in the kingdom under Yeshua, under the Lord Jesus. Ezekiel 37, 24, 25, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 9, Hosea chapter 3, verse 5, all tell us King David will be resurrected to rule in the kingdom under the Lord Jesus as the prince. Why? Because God has promises to keep. He will keep his promises to Israel. I don't care what replacement theologians are saying today in some Christian circles. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. God will not abrogate his promises to Israel. Then we see in Ezekiel chapter number 36, God speaks to the land 35 times in Ezekiel chapter 36. Can you imagine that? God is speaking to the land 35 times in Ezekiel chapter number 36. God is not talking to people, not living human beings. He's talking to the mountains. He's talking to the trees. He's talking to the hills. He's talking to the valleys. That the indigenous people are coming back. And after 1,878 years of global dispersion, Jews have been making Aliyah, the third Aliyah, since 1897, back to Eretz Israel, leading up to the rebirth of the state of Israel, May 14th, 1948. Again, Dr. Todd Baker and I were at Independence Hall in Tel Aviv, where Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, stood in front of 400 reporters. He spoke in just 17 minutes the rebirth of the state of Israel. For 1,878 years, wandering from nation to nation since 70 AD. Again, taking 1948 minus 70 is 1,878. And that's how long the Jews have wandered. 1,878 years. Leading up to the rebirth of the state of Israel, May the 14th of 1948. Wow. Talk about prophecy being fulfilled in the 20th century is unprecedented. Then, in Ezekiel chapter number 37, he says, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Can you imagine that? These bones are the whole house of Israel. The bones are the Jews. They come out of the graves, the nations that they have been scattered to. And these bones shall live. The flesh, the tissue, the muscle, the breath comes upon them. They become a living army. And Ezekiel 37:11 says, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Then, in Ezekiel 37, verse number 12, God told the Jewish people, the bones, I will cause you to come up out of your graves, the nations you've been scattered to for 1,878 years, and will bring you back into Eretz Israel, the land of Israel. Fulfilled May the 14th of 1948. Israel's back in the land now, but they're back in unbelief in preparation for the final 70th week of Daniel's prophecy, aka the 7-year period of tribulation. What's the purpose of the 7-year period of tribulation? To turn Israel's unbelief into belief. Because at the end of the 7-year period of tribulation, Jesus will return at his second coming. And when that happens, Israel will come to the end of themselves. And they will cry out, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed is he who cometh in the name of the Lord. Fulfilling the messianic prophecy of Psalm 118, verse 26, quoted by Jesus in Matthew 23:39. Jesus said in Matthew 23:39, henceforth ye shall not see me until ye shall say, blessed is he who cometh in the name of the Lord. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Now that Israel's back in the land, in unbelief, I might add, we are drawing ever so close to the next main event that we call the rapture of the church. That is the next main event on God's calendar of activities. And that is what we are waiting for, folks. We are waiting for the rapture of the church. 1 Corinthians 15, 51, 52. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. We shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. We shall be changed. The rapture is a dateless and a signless event. Nothing has to be fulfilled. Jesus could return at any moment. He could return while I'm speaking right now. All we can say to that is Maranatha, even so come, Lord Jesus. Well, I hope to see you all tomorrow for another Bible prophecy update as we once again look at current world events in light of biblical prophecy. Don't forget, visit my website, todayinbibleprophecy.org. And if you have a Facebook page, send me a friend request and go to my YouTube page, August Rosado. Subscribe to my YouTube videos. And don't forget, this Sunday, I'm speaking all day. Sunday school, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. First Baptist Church in Groton, Massachusetts. That's going to be all day, September 29th, and that will be live stream. And tune in tonight, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my 15-minute broadcast on WOPW 93.3 FM, Central Kentucky. Listen live by going to WOPW.org. If you want to join me in Israel next year, April 23rd, 2022, get a hold of me. I will tell you exactly what you need to do. And folks, listen, if our ministry has been a blessing to you, please prayerfully consider supporting us. All of you that have been watching, you've stood behind us. You've been praying for us. You've been supporting us. For those of you that have been watching and, our ministry has been a blessing to you, prayerfully consider sending a gift, whether it's a one-time gift or monthly gift or whatever, every other month. We've taken on a lot of new different venues with the radio program now, traveling, speaking at churches around the country. We can surely use your help to proclaim the gospel and Jesus soon return. To help us when we do get back to Israel, to evangelize Jews and Arabs out there, we need your help. Please prayerfully consider standing by us. Use my PayPal link, paypal.me/TBPM. That's our PayPal ministry account. You can click that on or type it into your address box, and you can put whatever amount you feel the Lord is telling you to give. Or you can mail any of your support to Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries, 143 Grove Street, Lincoln, Rhode Island, 02865. I covet your prayers before anything, first and foremost. But folks, we do need your financial help to keep this ministry going. Would you prayerfully consider supporting us? And I want to thank all of you in advance. So don't forget, join me tomorrow, Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another Bible prophecy update. So remember, keep looking up. Yeshua, Jesus is coming soon. And Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And Lord willing, we'll see you all tomorrow. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. God bless.